I've got Nvidia's new RTX 3070 and RTX 3080 graphics in these two gaming laptops. So let's take a look at how they both compare against a bunch of other laptops in 10 different games. These are the spec differences between Nvidia's RTX 3070 and 3080 laptop graphics. And I've done all testing with two laptops from XMG. We've got the Neo 15 Tongfang chassis with Ryzen 7 5800H processor and RTX 3070 graphics, and Pro 17 Clevo chassis with i7 10870H processor and Nvidia RTX 3080 graphics. Now it's worth noting that the 3080 is available with both 8GB and 16GB VRAM options, and I've got the highest 16GB variant in this laptop. Power limits can also vary quite a bit this generation, and my 3070 actually runs with a higher power limit than the 3080. Combined with the fact that the Neo 15 lets us disable Optimus, I'm expecting it to offer better performance compared to the 3080. So with all of that in mind, let's see how well these two gaming laptops hold up in 10 different games. Shadow of the Tomb Raider was tested with the game's benchmark tool. I've got our RTX 3070 and 3080 laptops highlighted by the red bars. Now the 3070 is performing extremely well here, and actually beating out the desktop replacement Alienware 51M with desktop grade i9 9900K processor and 180W RTX 2080 graphics. It's just 1 FPS behind the MSI GT76. So impressive stuff. Red Dead Redemption 2 was tested with the game's benchmark. Unfortunately, this title came out after I had the desktop replacement machines for testing, so by leaving the scores blank, my graphing software sticks them at the top, so basically ignore them. Now in this one, the 3070 and 3080 are otherwise at the top of the results. Again, impressive stuff, and what we want to see with new hardware. Again though, the higher wattage 3070 is outperforming the 3080 with lower power limit, which is exactly what I was saying was going to happen in my recent Nvidia rant video. Battlefield 5 was tested in campaign mode. Again, the RTX 3070 was towards the top, only being beaten by MSI's far thicker GT76 Titan desktop replacement. The 3080 is behind again due to the lower power limit, but also in part due to no option of disabling Optimus. If the Pro 17 allowed us to disable Optimus, then I'd expect it to move up a few positions in most of the games tested. Control was tested by walking through the same section of the game on all 20 laptops. Again, the RTX 30 series machines are closer towards the top of the graph. The 3070 was reaching about the same average FPS as the 200W 2080 in the GT76. However, the 1% low from the 9900K was 21% higher than the 5800H result. The 3080 Max-Q wasn't too far behind either, and was performing very closely to the much higher wattage 2080 Super in the MSI GE75 just above it. Metro Exodus was tested with the game's benchmark tool. This time the GE75 was slightly ahead of the new laptops, though it does also have a higher wattage GPU. The results from the new laptops are good, just not as great when compared to some of the other games. I suppose from next-gen hardware, you generally want to see it going above and beyond rather than matching what we had. I also wanted to take a look at some esports titles. CSGO in particular saw big gains when I tested it with Zen 3 desktop processors, and these gains also seem to translate to laptops now, as the 5800H plus 2070 machine is now the best CSGO result that I've ever recorded from a gaming laptop. The frame rates are so high in this game that laptops that can disable Optimus also see big gains. And from memory, the top 5 laptops here all have the option of disabling Optimus, so some of the speed boost is going to come down to this feature more so than CPU or GPU hardware. Fortnite is another, though newer esports title. Now this one isn't perfectly comparable as the game has updated over time, which means my test run has been modified as this happens. Regardless, the two desktop replacement machines are the only ones scoring better than the 3070 and 3080 laptops. Rainbow Six Siege was tested with the game's benchmark tool using Vulkan. Unfortunately, the desktop replacement machines were tested before they added in Vulkan support, so I don't have comparable data there. Otherwise, the RTX 30 machines are again both the top results. The 3080 was only a little ahead of the others in terms of average FPS. However, it saw bigger gains in the 1% lows, while the 3070 and 5800H was on another level compared to that. The Witcher 3 is a game that I've been testing since the start of the channel, so I've got data from even the desktop replacements here. This time the 3070 and 3080 were both beating the GT76, while the Alienware 51M was at the top, at least in terms of average FPS. It had the lowest 1% low result out of these 4 machines. The difference in average FPS isn't that big. The 1% lows are boosted with the two new laptops highlighted in red, outlining a slightly more stable experience. Far Cry 5 was tested with the game's benchmark tool. This is a test that I've typically found to be more CPU heavy, which could be why our new 30 series laptops are a bit lower compared to most of the other games tested. I was expecting to see the Ryzen 7 5800H higher in the list, but to be fair, some of those Intel i9s do run with quite high power limits, especially the desktop replacements up the top. Unfortunately, I haven't got the results for the latest and greatest title titles like Cyberpunk 2077 for instance, as that game came out after I tested most of these laptops. However, I did test it as well as many other new games on the RTX 3070 in this video over here. I also tested both 1440p and 1080p resolutions, so definitely worth checking out if you want to get a better idea of what the 3070 is capable of. Otherwise, there are going to be plenty more comparisons and reviews with all of this new hardware coming in the next few weeks. So make sure you're subscribed for all of that upcoming content.